Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome back to the Blackrock Foundry raid guide for normal and heroic. This time we'll be looking at BEASTLORD DARMAC.
Let us crush them.
This fight consists of two separate phases with Darmac on foot, and then with him mounting one of his beasts. There's three beasts he can mount: Cruelfang the wolf, Ironcrusher the elephant or Elec, and Dreadwing the Rylac. Now depending on which one he gets on, he'll have different abilities. We had the most success with the order of mounting being Cruelfang, then Ironcrusher, then Dreadwing, so Wolf, Elephant, and then Rylac. You can force Darmac to mount a specific beast by tagging him close to it when he's coming close to the percentage threshold. For the first mount that's 85%, for the second one it's 65%, and for the third and final one it's 45%. You'll want to tag Darmac in the corner which does not have a beast for the majority of the fight. Darmac has two abilities he'll use from start to finish, the first one being pinned down. He'll throw a few spears at random raid members, and when they land they'll deal a small amount of damage within 25 yards of the impact range. But if your raid members do not dodge or do not get out of that swirl, the spear will pin them to the ground, stunning them until the spear is killed. Note that any spears that fall will stay there until killed, and you need to make sure ranged are at least throwing a couple dots on them. They need to be gone before you kill the Rylac. The other ability is called the Pack. Darmac will summon forth a mini army of pack animals which aren't all too threatening, but have your tank who isn't tanking Darmac pick them up and your DPS AoE them down. Everything's nice and easy until 85%, where you'll need to tank Darmac close to Cruelfang. When he gets to 85, he'll hop on Cruelfang and gain a few new abilities. The first of which is Savage Howl. He'll howl, dealing a small amount of damage to everyone around him, but he'll also increase his and all allied attack speeds by 75%. Pack animals shouldn't survive long enough for it to be an issue on them, and it's a dispellable enrage effect, so have someone dispel it as quickly as possible, and that's that ability dealt with. The next ability is Rend and Tear. He'll leap to a random target and leap back to the tank, causing anyone within 7 yards of them will start bleeding for 30 seconds. It also applies a debuff on them, increasing damage from Rend and Tear by 10%. That means your tanks will need to swap. I recommend every 3 stacks or so. Make sure your range to also spread out 7 yards to minimise the damage of the leap towards them. Bear in mind, throughout all of these mounted phases he will continue to use Pin Down and Call the Pack, so make sure you're on top of those abilities. When Cruelfang dies, Darmac will go back to his on foot phase, but keep Rend and Tear, so he'll keep leaping to random targets and keep applying that bleed effect. Note that any extra ability he gains this way is only going to be present while he's on foot, so when he mounts up he'll no longer use Rend and Tear, but he will after he dismounts. Until 65%, you've basically got Cruelfang's phase without his roar, so just keep going at it until you get to 65 and then make sure he's near Ironcrusher. First off, there's another tank switch mechanic called Crush Armor. It reduces your armor by 10% for 15 seconds. Give it the same treatment as Rend and Tear and swap at 3 stacks. His next new ability is Stampede, very similar to Rend and Tear except somewhat backwards. He'll stomp where he is and then charge to a distant target and stomp them as well, dealing a moderate amount of damage and knocking everyone back. Simply stay spread out if you're ranged, and your melee want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Taking unnecessary damage can get you killed from the next ability, Tantrum. He'll start channeling a raid-wide AoE which deals a hefty amount of damage over 5 seconds. I'd recommend stacking up as best you can and using some healing cooldowns to get through it, but remember to spread out as quickly as possible afterward. Getting through this phase will leave Darmac once again on foot, but not before he takes Ironcrusher's Tantrum. That means whenever he's dismounted from now on, he's going to be using that ability. Healing cooldowns in a rotation is a nice way to deal with it. The next target is 45% health, where he'll mount his last beast, Dreadwing. He'll start by applying another tank swap debuff called Seared Flesh. It increases fire damage taken by 20%. Once again, swap at 3 stacks. His next new ability in this phase is Conflagration. He'll apply a magic debuff to a target, they'll get disorientated and start burning over 6 seconds. They'll also pulse for fire around them within 8 yards, so any allies are going to take damage too. I'd recommend dispelling these as quickly as possible. The last new ability and the last thing to worry about is Inferno Breath. He'll face a random direction and blast that area of the room with a large cone AoE. The initial damage is pretty hefty, and he'll apply a magic damage over time effect to anyone still caught in the fire. He'll also leave patches of fire on the floor. It's not too difficult to avoid the breath, but if someone does get caught, make sure the damage over time effect is dispelled. When Dreadwing finally goes down, the fight is just beginning, because now Darmac is on foot at 45% health, give or take, and he has Rend and Tear, he has Tantrum, and he has Inferno Breath, albeit under a different name. It's called Superheated Shrapnel, but it does exactly the same thing. He also empowers his spears to do damage to people around them. That's a nice little fiery effect. And this is why you need to kill all the other spears over the course of the fight. You can do it slowly, but make sure they're gone before the Rylak dies, otherwise you're going to have a lot of AoE and everyone's going to die. But your pack beasts, when they die, will also leave patches of flame on the floor, so make sure they're dying in a nice secluded location off to the side, and this last on foot phase is where you should be using your Bloodlust or Heroism. Remember to stay calm. While he now has a lot of abilities, they're nothing new. You know what they do and you know how to deal with them. So take things one step at a time, handle each ability in turn, and this should be enough for you to take down Beastlord Darmac on normal and heroic. But if you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you. Feel free to check out any of the other guides for Blackrock Foundry, normal and heroic. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.